Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today here in Atlanta, Georgia to meet up with Ed Bolian, VINwiki, and to talk Murcielago SVs. This car, as any in Ed's collection, has quite the story, and today we're going to take it for a run out. Ed's going to show us around the garage because a lot has changed since the last time that I was out here. In fact, I've been to visit a couple of times. I came here with my Ford GT, with my Shelby GT500, and now with the GT Black Series as well. But let's go inside, let's find Ed, let's talk Murcielagos, and then let's take a drive in the Murci SV.
Welcome.
Good to see you.
Good to have you back. Love this.
Thank you very much. Well, I love seeing how much has changed.
A few new things, absolutely. We'll come on in and see them.
After I was here last time, which crazily was about 2 years ago now.
I know it, yeah.
When we stopped by with the GT500, you had the 599,
That's
the
right.
Scud.
The Flood 599, which I ended up driving 6,000 miles after you left, unregistered, totally illegal, because it was so hard to get it to pass all the inspections and things. But eventually, it got a title, and it was sold. But yeah, we went out in this, the Verde Draco 2007 manual LP640. My personal favorite car, still is. I can't imagine parting with it. It wasn't originally black like you. I don't mind respraying them, but it was the Verde Draco. They didn't make any for the US in that color. There's 2 UK cars, but
yeah.
That felt like the perfect color for the car. And so it's still chugging along, just past 50,000 miles on it.
That's crazy, 50,000 miles. You had the one Murcielago LP640, gated, I'm going to point out.
Yeah.
There aren't that many of those out there.
No, so in the US, there are 23 of the coupes and 10 of the roadsters. There's 88 coupes worldwide and only 16 manual LP640 roadsters for the entire world.
This is crazy. This is one of only 10. This is, of course, a new addition. You've gone from one Murcielago last time I was here to 3.
They've got a way of multiplying, and fortunately, just by being out there on the internet talking about them, when something weird pops up, especially if it's like the worst possible example of something, I tend to hear about it. That's exactly what I want. And I've got all 3 of them. I have the worst SV, I have the worst coupe, the worst roadster. What could possibly be better? This one was amazing because Ralph Lauren ordered it new. 2 identical ones. A billionaire in Seattle owns the other one, and one of my other old manual LP640 coupes that's much nicer. Too nice, really, for me to keep. But the guy that ended up buying it after Ralph Lauren didn't take delivery of either of them just drove it around New York City and New Jersey like a normal daily driver car. And whenever he would crash it, he just kept a can of black spray paint and he would just spray paint over it. And if he did file an insurance claim, he would buy some cheap aftermarket part. And so it had like this terrible fake SV rear bumper and a ducktail spoiler and had a gun safe in the passenger floorboard, a whole bunch of stupid stuff. And so, you know, it was tough because since the car is so rare and they've gone up in value so much since I decided to repaint that one, I've been a little bit gun shy to spray it orange, which is exactly what I would want it to be.
I think you should do it. Orange.
It has to be, right? And they didn't make any manual LP640 roadsters in orange for the whole world. And
None of the 16.
Yeah, so you have to do it.
Is it Nero Nemesis underneath?
It is. So to be honest, I've wrapped it in matte black vinyl to be sort of like visibly restored because I'm not going to go through the insane task of properly trying to paint it matte black in the US.
I know the feeling. It's also kind of waiting to decide what to do. Like if you might one day change it orange, there's no point in having painted it again now.
Right, right. So I'm very, very happy with the car. I drive it all the time. I drive all of them all the time. That's why they're so dirty. But it's a big sticker car. Very rare to have the transparent engine bonnet. You know, it's so good as the manual. And to me, that's what makes it so timeless. Because when you drive an E-gear car or any single clutch sequential manual car from the 2000s, it kind of has that single apology that you've got to offer. Like, yeah, the car's awesome. I know it's clunky, the gearbox and whatever.
Yeah.
But I love the SV because it is so of that moment. But I love these because there will never be anything like them again.
Yeah, that's true. This is the last manual V12 Lambo.
Exactly.
I mean, in a nutshell, gated shifter. They're both gated.
Correct.
The coupe and the Roadster. Roadster, I guess you just keep it with the roof off. Do you have a roof?
I have all the pieces of the roof, fortunately, but it's such a pain to put it on, and my head obviously sticks out well above the windscreen when I drive it, and so I love it. I've driven them in the rain, you know, as long as you go fast enough, you don't have to worry about anything. It does have there's a company down in Florida that makes kind of a temporary top that just loops around the mirrors and snaps on so you can park it without having to worry too much, but yeah, I've never traveled with the roof.
No, and when you drive this thing, your eye line is probably over the top of the...
It is, yeah, you can kind of see it. It's pretty substantially up there.
Yeah, so putting any kind of roof on that
is probably not realistic. So, you know, even in the coupe though, you kind of have to assume the Murci standard slouch at 6.5 feet tall. But once I'm in, it's quite comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, good room, better than other things.
I love it. Well, as you said, the Murcis have multiplied, but another addition,
Yes.
the Spyker.
I always loved Spykers. So I was the director of sales at Lamborghini Atlanta, Aston Martin, McLaren, Lotus, but we were also a Spyker dealer. I didn't start until '09, so at that point they'd already sold all the cars. But you know, Spyker, in the 2006 to 2010 era when these cars were built, they only made 260, 270 cars. And so this one was sold new to Missy Elliott, the R&B artist or rapper. I don't know what she'd classify herself as, but regardless, I loved it. I'll be honest, I hate black cars. I always buy them because they're the cheapest ones to buy. But this one, it just looks so good. The team from Glossett just came through and ceramic coated it and paint corrected it and all this stuff. And so, I don't know, I just think it's so much fun. There's so many things, you know, people call them like the baby Paganis or the cheap person's Paganis, and that's probably pretty accurate. You know, you got a functional roof scoop and louvered fenders and center lock wheels and an inboard pushrod suspension, vertically opening doors, the exposed gear linkage, the quilted interior, floor mounted pedals, everything. They're just so cool.
It's beautiful in there.
You know, there's nothing like it. That's probably why they didn't sell very well, but I just think it's so fun. You know, the startup procedure where you have to put the key in the glove box, flip up the ignition panel, hit the start button, make sure you're not in gear. It's so much fun because there's just not a lot there to protect you or make it all that accommodating. But with the Audi drivetrain, it's very easy to maintain. And I love it. And I bought it totally blind. She hadn't seen it in years. And her mother called and said that she wanted to sell it. And I said, well, I probably want to buy it. So got a great deal. I think these have, you know, everything a car could possibly need to go up in value a lot over the course of the next few years. But ultimately, I just like it because it's unrepeatable. And I always like to look like I won the lottery 10 or 15 years ago.
Why not? I love the details, even the filler cap in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Really well made.
It's a really terrible place to put a filler cap, I'll be honest. Inside of a vent, and you know, it always overflows, things like that. I know you like yours.
I do. Lusso, GTC4 Lusso.
It's the best car they make, I'll be honest. I've had a lot of Ferraris. Last time I was here, I had the 599 and the Scud. The Scud was really special because it was just so unique in what it was within the history of those cars that Ferrari's built as really special things. But no, to me, this thing's great. I think I'm going to try to turn it into a little bit of a different color at some point. But it is actually, this is what became of the CarTrek 9 Audi R8 V10 Plus. Over the course of the last 6 months in the US, cars under $200,000 have gotten really hard to sell. So I guess crypto evaporated, and so it's not a terribly unique thing, but this had set in aging inventory at a Buick dealership in Mississippi, and they had found no one to buy it, if you can believe it, and so they gave me a great number on the R8. This one was the cheapest in the world by 40 grand with a V12, and I just said, I gotta have it. And so
you bought a V12 Ferrari from a Buick dealership in Mississippi?
I did, yes. It had a minor on Carfax, and the body shop that did the work had said, you know, it had like every panel removed in order to paint the bumper. And so it looked bad, but the car drives great. And
that's what matters.
I've never had a car that new. It's a 2017.
Okay. Should we get to the big one?
Absolutely, yes.
The Murci SV. You bought a Murci SV.
I did. I bought the worst Murci SV, which is always the best thing. So of the 44 US cars and 308 cars worldwide, this is probably the worst accident that one has been able to come back from. I mean, literally everything in front of the windshield was just gone. And so it was crashed in the US in 2016, and then when it sold through the salvage auction, through Copart, it went overseas. It went to Poland, it was repaired in Hungary, owned by an Austrian man, and I bought it from a German dealer. And he contacted me because while the car was sitting, being repaired, and they were learning different things about it, and they did some research through our VINwiki app. And so there's a list of all the SVs and all the US SVs, and this car, there's a plaque on it out of 350, all of them, even though they didn't build 350, and it was number 240. But the plaque that's in there is number 257, which is a black car in Miami. And he was confused by that. But that told me that there was a crashed US SV in Europe. Both of those things are the kiss of death for European values.
They sure are.
And so I was like, this thing's gonna be cheap. Now, it was risky because I was buying it from somebody I didn't really know, had to check references and stuff like that. But it arrives and it was repaired exceptionally well. It is the only car in the world that Lamborghini painted this shade, Rosso Andromeda. It's kind of weird with the Ronald McDonald yellow calipers and stitching, but honestly, I really, really like it. You know, you see a lot of SVs in matte black or black where you don't get the contrast with all the carbon and everything that makes them so special, but this one's great. And it goes real fast, and nobody would know that it was crashed if I didn't tell them all the time they asked.
And it wouldn't be a car in your collection if it didn't have an amazing story.
Exactly. Well, you want me to take you for a ride and show you how good it is?
Absolutely. Let's get this started. Let's pull it on out, and let's go see what your Murci SV is all about. All the beeps.
That's it.
Immobilize us.
The glory of the 2000s.
Oh, yes.
Maybe the struts are a little weak.
Tell you what, it's nice in there, though.
It is.
Let's squeeze round.
That's right. These seats are not the most accommodating of my heights. Ready?
I'm ready when you are. What a sound. Sounds good to me.
Let's go.
Out emerges the bull. 308 cars. Perhaps we should talk a little bit more about that. I tell you what, red and yellow together are cool. Oh, I need to get a photo of this and then hop in and we will go. Right, doors up. Get ready to swing on in. But there is actually something that this time I have remembered that I normally forget in a Murci. Seatbelts are here.
Everyone forgets that. Absolutely.
There's the plaque you were mentioning.
Correct.
Have you spoken with the person who owns the actual 257?
It's just a, Nero knocked his car down in Miami. And so I actually talked to the factory as well, and they haven't figured out how to sell me the right one. So I don't know how that happened.
Funny.
They don't keep any records of anything, and so
Really? So they don't have records of
they're
which
not. There's
numbers?
not 350 of them. They weren't built in order.
Because for a long time, we should talk about this when we're driving. For a long time, everybody thought there were 185.
Yeah, I don't know who said that, but we had about 250 of them in the VINwiki app, and then about 2 months ago, I got, through several third, fourth, fifth parties, a PDF list of all the Murci VINs ever built.
How cool is that?
And they were numbered out of 4,099. There were different, VIN prefixes and things like that. And so it's been fun to figure out where they all are.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's it.
Well, here we are, Murcielago SV. I haven't been in one for years.
You don't see them. It's amazing how rare Lamborghinis are relative to everything else we consider rare.
Oh, that's a cool sound. I tell you what, the E-gear is probably quicker than I thought, or you've just got really good at making it smooth.
There's huge variation in how the E-gear cars drive. A lot of them are extra labored in the ways that they shift, and especially if they don't get driven a lot. So, I get them out as often as I possibly can, and that helps tremendously in the way. There's some adjustment that you can do with the computers and things like that, but ultimately they're all their own animal. And so this is fortunately a very good driving E-gear car.
Yeah.
And that's been a huge blessing, but it's only got 8,300 miles on it.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think it's other than the Spyker, lowest mile car I've ever owned.
That's actually not all that many.
No, it's
Something
not.
like this.
Yeah.
What a cool thing. Do you feel instantly that you're in something different, aside from the fact that this is E-gear as opposed to a gated manual? Do you feel that it's something different to the LP640s?
Yeah, I think the presence of the car with all the stuff stuck off of it and the black and the carbon and all that definitely makes it feel a bit different. The most appreciable difference is obviously the seats. And so It's got these one-piece carbon bucket seats that are thinner, but they sit up very high. And so you can't probably see it, but if I sit up straight in this car, this is what we have. And so I have to shuffle down in the seat, to be quite honest with you. My favorite way to drive it is with the seat out of it. I just take it out and I sit on the floor and drive it. It's perfect. It is the best car with no seat in it, but I had it, my clear bra guys had it to pull off some really bad clear bra that was on it previously, and so they needed to be able to move it around and they wouldn't be able to see over the dash.
So have you had to do any major work to it since you've had it, or was this all?
Not really. It had a
go?
couple of the really common things that happen to these cars, and when Murcis came out in 2001, there was a lot of really, really scary maintenance, right? People thought, oh my goodness, it's a $10,000 clutch job and things, but that's become so much the norm now with a lot of supercars that the dealer service rates are so expensive that it's actually relatively inexpensive to maintain a Murci today because everything else is so much more expensive. They're still the same.
Yeah.
But I haven't had, I had the brake light switch go out, they all go out, and so at that point the car won't shift. And I've also had a couple of times where the air conditioning systems become all haywire, and so a few replaced components there. But overall, it's been perfect. I think I've probably put about 100,000 miles on Murcis, and so across all the 8 of them that I've had. And to me, there's just nothing better. It just feels so special to be out in one. Just even on a rather mundane drive, it always feels like you're in something that amplifies the experience.
Yeah, I mean, sticks out a little bit like a sore thumb.
Absolutely.
Just on country lanes like this. The view to the back, that's cool with the wing back there.
Yeah,
I mean, this was an era when sticking a big wing on a car like that, because this launched in 2009.
It did.
A big wing like that on the back of the car was really out there.
Absolutely. And there was an option to have the smaller rear wing, which gave you like 6 more miles an hour of top speed, but almost everybody went big stickers, big wing. This car was originally a small sticker car. When I got it, it had the big stickers put on it, so I put those back. But overall, you know, of course, the unicorn is a manual SV.
Yep.
And I've been looking for them. I mean, we know of the 5 cars that are pretty well documented. There's 3 white US cars and 2 cars in Switzerland, Rosso Vic and Matt Brown.
Yeah, I know the red one well because I've seen it many times at events over the years.
Spectacular. And so, you know, those have gotten super valuable, even though none of them have transacted in the last 5 years. In the US, one car has a mileage discrepancy on Carfax, one car was totaled horrifically and rebuilt using another car, and the other one's got 32,000 miles, which to everybody but me would be high. And so they're all unbuyable. The European cars are really hard to bring in, but in going through all of the VINs for the 4,099, which is actually more like 3,900 Murcis, I learned that there were 2 more, which was a moon landing in the world of Ed Bolian. One is a US car, one is a European car, and so I put a $100,000 bounty out on them, and the video made the rounds. I think it got like 5 million views over the weekend.
I started getting messages from people saying, hey, do you know where either of these 2 manual Murcis are? I'm sure from people who weren't necessarily intending to share the $100,000.
That's exactly right. And so it was great to kind of put the legion of audience out there looking for them, and we actually found the 2 cars. I haven't talked about that publicly. Of course, none of them are for sale, and that was the contingency of the bounty. It's like, I gotta be able to buy one of the cars. But the orange US car was originally in Singapore and was sold into China last year. And there was a matte blue car that was a European VIN. And that car, all we know is that Balboni drove it a bit in Mallorca years and years ago. And so we have no idea where that car is, but again, neither of them can really be bought. So I'm very content to have my E-Gear car and stick with the manual car and the Roadster and the Coupe.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I am very jealous of this. I've obviously not yet been behind the wheel of yours, but I have been lucky to drive one in the past, and it's a special thing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, this car. I mean, there's no practicality really to speak of.
No.
It's pretty bare
That's
in
right.
the day, but that's the charm of it. That's the craziness of it.
It is. It's just so, it's everything that a supercar should be. It's crazy. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit anywhere. It's not all that comfortable. It's not all that reliable. It's not all that inexpensive to rent. It's just perfect though, right?
Yes.
You need to drive it.
I would absolutely love to.
Let's find a spot.
I tell you what, it looks nice in the sunshine.
Absolutely. Hop in.
What a
It's
beautiful
better from
day
behind
for
the
it.
wheel.
YouTube plate. All right. Now I'm going to have to move everything because I will need it significantly further forwards.
You'll be surprised. There's not that much
No, actually, there isn't.
available.
There
You and
really
I
isn't.
get a shared driving position in this thing.
Fly off handbrake. No, I failed. There we
No,
go.
you've
Fly
done
off handbrake.
Look at that.
Gear, run the wipers.
Run the wipers. It's necessary. No more dust. Up. There you go.
There we
Yep.
go. First thing I do in your SV.
That's quite all right.
Pop the wipers on a beautifully sunny day. Okay, the thing you notice immediately is how you're sat. Like, even for me, who's average height, I'm conscious of this. I'm a bit wonky, a bit twisted. But that's what we were just saying, right?
It's unlike anything else because it probably wasn't the right way to have done it.
No.
So you feel the engagement of the clutch being a little bit unique, and I will say this one has got good tires on it. That's a problem because they only make the tires once every like 5 to 7 years.
Really?
And
so they just make them in batches?
Yeah, so if you see a bunch of nails, don't run through them. But but it's going to grip. It's got Corsas too.
Are they different in here to the LP640s?
Yeah, the 670s run Corsa tires from Pirelli. The rest run P0 Rossos or just P0s.
But they're the same fitment?
Same size, yeah. 18-inch wheels on all Murcis. Same tire size for all of them. The wheels changed in 2005 when they enlarged the brakes.
Okay.
Fun downshifts.
Raw and silly.
That's it.
But I love it. The steering wheel is so far offset to the right.
That's right. Well, maybe your left arm's just longer. Who could say for sure?
Downshifts are good.
The downshifts are good, yes.
Let's watch out for all these stones.
Man, don't give me a rock chip. There'd be 50 more next to it.
No, we don't want that.
That's quite all right.
First gear, get some revs.
It makes such a good noise.
Yeah.
Everybody says an LFA or a Curra GT are these the best sounding cars. No, a Bizzarini V12 is the best sounding car.
There's something about it. It doesn't have anywhere near the, let's say, clinical precision of more modern cars. This was, as the Aventador is in the modern day, this was never, let's say, at the forefront of technology when it was new, right?
Right.
So by the time it reached the SV at the end of the lifespan of the Murcielago, it was a little bit kind of like, yeah, we're still doing this.
That's right. Exactly.
Oh, the downshifts. It's a sweet sound. I don't know if you know this, my first ever video on the Shmi 150 channel included a Murcielago SV.
Really?
Yeah, it was
13 years ago?
Yep, over 13 years ago. It was
and a billion views ago.
A billion views
Look
ago.
at
That's
you.
scary to think.
That's
it was a red 458 Italia and an orange Murci SV. And I have on my kind of one-day bucket list plate to have that pair in the garage.
I approve of the decision.
But I probably need to get on with it before these things cost a fortune. I mean, they already cost a fortune.
Well, they cost a lot more here than back home for you.
They do indeed. Out here, they're $1 million cars now, aren't they?
That's right. Yeah, the last few transactions have been between $1 million and $1.3 million.
Which is utterly bonkers, honestly. No, there's still only, if I can say that, half that in our side of the pond.
Yes.
But for how long is the question. The road opens up, so do the revs. Awesome. This is awesome.
I'm glad you like it.
I absolutely love it. Thank you for letting me drive it. I mean, it's a car that's, to be completely honest, not me in many ways, because I'm more about the precision and engineering and technology. But I think that's what makes it so hilarious to drive. It's what makes it so different. And so, what am I at the wheel of? What am I driving here? What is this thing? But I'm completely okay with that. I mean, it's just a Larry thing. It's just a Larry, silly thing. Loads of torque as well. Loads and loads of torque.
Absolutely.
It pulls hard in any gear, anywhere in the rev range. How can a car that is so silly in so many ways be so much fun?
That's the point.
Like, I don't understand it, but I'm completely okay with it. These are some very nice roads to be driving this car, even if it's not normal out here.
Yeah.
How often do you drive this? How often does this come out?
I mean, as long as I'm going to drive more than a few miles, I drive it pretty much every day.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you know, having 3 of them, a lot of it's about which one's the most functional in that day, and that's a moving target. But for now, this one's been the go-to for a bit.
What a description. It's a moving target of which one is the most functional. I love it.
Well, because if you need a part, it takes months and months. And so, you know, usually if a part shows up, I forgot I've ordered it. And so it's a...
Gotcha. I had this chat with Matt Armstrong, of course, who's rebuilding
I'm sure that's
a Murci at the moment. And it's how do you get everything that you need to keep these running? Because, you know, it's based on a car that's effectively 2 decades old.
Yes.
It's never been produced in particularly large numbers, 4,000 cars. So spares aren't exactly sitting on every shop's shelves, ready to go. The shift is really fast.
Yeah.
It surprises me for
that's not
what
even
it is.
Corsa.
I was going to say, there's a setting somewhere, isn't there?
Yeah,
so
Corsa,
the Corsa button here in the middle.
Doesn't do it. Yeah, Corsa doesn't do a huge difference, but see what you think. A little more aggressive on your downshift.
Yes, I mean that was fairly gentle, so we need to be going a little bit more on the throttle to see the difference. Okay, let's give this a go. Yeah, it's just a little bit quicker. Still quite smooth though. What about a downshift? Down to second. First.
Perfect.
I like these automated manual gearboxes because I've done so much driving with, I had an R8 R-Tronic, which was effectively the E-gear equivalent from the Gallardo back at the time. Did loads of miles with that. And a V8 Vantage with Sport Shift, which was Aston's take on it.
And you got that car back.
I do.
That's
I got to buy that car back, got to track that car back down and managed to pick it up again. We are back at base.
That's right. What do you think?
I tell you what, these two cars are quite different. GT Black Series to Murci SV. Are we on with the park brake?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on. There we go.
It's flat enough.
These are very different experiences, from the kind of clinical precision of an AMG to
your hair's on fire.
Previous generation Lamborghini, wild, crazy, silly, but that's what makes this so special. You know, somebody who wants one of these wants it because it's not normal. It's not what everyone else is driving. It's not logical. That's what Lamborghini always were. Countach, back in those days. It was always the rebellious choice. That's why so many kind of celebrities would have them and people in, you know, that kind of world. So do you turn it off in gear or in neutral?
Doesn't matter. Neutral's great.
Beep, 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 beep.
Exactly.
Awesome, thanks for the drive.
My pleasure.
Go on then, why was it beeping at us?
It beeps if you leave it in neutral, but I usually do that anyway. It's a good idea because you never know when you're going to have to push one. I also usually leave the doors with the windows down because the door locks fail a lot. Okay. And if they fail, you really can't get in the car. When we shot with the green car for Car Trek, the detailers locked it. I never lock it. And I always lock it. Don't steal my car, but I don't lock it. And we were about to have to break the window out. But we actually, there's a moment, very momentarily, where you can get it open, and it came open.
Yeah.
So we didn't break it.
Lucky.
Yeah,
lucky,
exactly.
Lucky. Funny things you have to learn.
That's it. You got to get you a British YouTube plate. How much would that cost?
Well, you wouldn't be able to because of our weird rules about what you can have and spacing and things.
No, it would be like spelled with a Q. And
this is a whole can of worms. Q plates are reserved for diplomatic things.
Oh goodness, yes.
Sorry, for imported cars. Temporary. Don't even. Our plate system is not like just choose some letters and numbers. But you do have some very nice plates because you've got YouTube, you've got gated, you've got
VINwiki, you got a lot flooded. Very appropriate in this garage.
Not that the garage is ever flooded.
No, the cars. Just the cars. They flood before they come here. Then they're dry. Mostly. But I guess you're headed down to see another flooded car pretty soon, huh?
We might be. We might be. What a cliffhanger.
Good luck with that.
We'll leave that one there. Thank you for the drive, Ed. Thanks for showing us around your cars.
Anytime. Come
back
awesome
soon. As always to see you.
Take care.
Well, the sun is out in force. That was quite the drive. There's just something about this car, the SV, and of course there was a Mura SV. There have been SV derivatives through Lamborghini's history, the Aventador SV, SVJ, etc. But this was truly limited in a way that modern cars just aren't quite the same. 300 versus the 600 Aventador SV coupes and 500 SV Roadsters, plus the 900 SVJ coupes, the 800 SVJ Roadsters, plus the 63s, plus, you get the point. This was a very small run of the ultimate version of the Murcielago. This shadow right now is particularly cool with all of the heat haze from the engine and the scale of the wing on the back of this thing. The design was just radical at the time. That's one of the things you have to consider. And I remember seeing it for the first time when I made that first ever YouTube video with one of these. And I guess one day it would be a really, really special edition. Who knows? Maybe that could happen. But it's been so cool coming back here to take a little look around with Ed, to talk through each of the cars. They wouldn't be part of Ed's collection if they didn't have stories. From the Lusso trade-in story in Mississippi, to the Spyker and its history with Missy Elliott, to the Murcielago LP640s, this car and that whole side of it that was originally ordered for Ralph Lauren, this car that I've been out in with Ed before now as well, the Verde Draco example, super rare, super limited, super cool. But you know what? There was a period, I guess when I was a teenager, that I thought these were the coolest things in the world. You know, watching Bam Margera on the Gumball 3000 in his purple Murci, through to everything of that kind of time. Then I probably went off them a little bit for a while, but now I'm starting to get it again. There's nothing quite as wild as this type of thing. Maybe one day, maybe one day. I enjoyed driving Stradman's 40th anniversary Murcielago, and I've been very much enjoying driving Ed's Murci SV today as well. If you aren't already following the VINwiki channel, do go check it out. There'll be some stories that I'm going to be sharing over there as well, plus plenty more from Ed and many of his visitors and guests that come over here also. That's it for now though. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!